welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are left with the two main functions to create and that would be changing to big and changing to small. So if you go here at the top, you could see we have the changing to big and changing to small in this handle listed. So we'll be making that in this lecture. So in this lecture basically we'll make this changing to big. So just make it now. Should be get out of this crouch. It should be not couch, it should be crouch. So let's make that crouch. And next thing we can make here is a current time. So let's set that current time in this init function. Go here and just set it as something that is self dot, just give the current time here and just use this pg as a pygame module. Just give a time and clock, so it will just handle our current time, and we think we are good to go here. So let's create this changing to big function now. So let's go down here. After this animation, let's create that function down here. So let's define that changing to big and just give this self. So basically when you eat that mushroom or a power, there should be the change in the size of a Mario from the smaller to bigger, which will be handled in this function. So basically it changes Mario's image attribute based on the time, while basically we transition to the big. So let me say self and just give the in transition state here, which should be now true. And the next thing what we can check is transition timer here. If self dot transition timer is equal to O, that means if the transition timer is 0, then just set this transition timer obviously to this current time. So this transition timer should be now current time. So next thing what you can do after this is we'll just see basically if the there is a self timer between the two times. So that means if there is a self timer, let me say self dot timer, and it should be we should create the new function again here, that is define here as a timer between these two times. So in these two times we have the two parameter here, and just give a comma between these two, and let me say so first will be 135 and second would be 200. So these are all in the millisecond. So if it is the case, we'll just set the Mario, that is to be self dot set Mario to a small image. So set Mario to maybe a small image, and this is basically a transition, and we haven't created these two function. Now next thing we'll just take again, or let's check if there is again the timer between. Let's check this same function again here and just copy it and just paste it, and just check again for this timer between two times again here. That should be 2 times and here 2 times. So the next time here will be, let's say 365 to 430. And if it is the case, then what you're gonna do is we'll just set the Mario to this middle image now. So set Mario to middle image. So if you wonder what this basically is, that set Mario to middle image, this is basically calling a function, and we haven't implemented this function yet, and we'll implement in the next lecture maybe. So self dot timer, and let me say, just call it again here, just copy it and just paste it again here, and I'll say the time now should be somewhere between 690 to 755. If it is the case, then what you should do is we'll also just set this to this middle image. Let me just copy it and just call the same function here, and we'll check again for maybe big images. Now I'll say, just let me type alif again and just paste it, and it should be this condition. Let me just get this copy and just paste it here, and now this time should be somewhere between 820 to 885. So these are very random. You can just test this number and work it on yourself. So I'll say if the timer is between this number, then the Mario should set to maybe big image. So let's make this big image. So let's close this, and now next thing what you can do is, after this big image is set, we'll just call some attribute here, that is self.state should be c dot just walk, and self dot in transition state should be false here, and similarly self dot transition timer should be O, and just call this function that is become big. So we have created this become big in this previous lecture, so this will be executed and our character will become big. So it's time to implement some of this function, that is timer between these two times, and set Mario to small image, middle image, and big image. Now let's implement that function. So let's create that function, that is set Mario at middle image. So I'll say first set Mario, it should be to middle image, and just give the current object here. So this should be here. So let's give self. Let me check it out. Yes, and only it will just take a self, and you can see here that this has turned black. So because we have defined this set Mario to middle image, so basically what this does is, during a change from the small to big, it sets Mario image to the transition or a middle size. So for that, we'll just say if the current object is facing, basically if the current object that we just have here is facing right, so if it's facing right, then just create this image container here and just assign it as a normal small frames. And next thing what you can do here is, we'll just check for the else part, else just assign that is the image that won't be facing to normal. Basically it won't be facing, so if you see here, this facing right would be this position, just denotes that this image we just extracted which will be facing right, else it won't be facing right here. That should be a small frame, and just give 1 and 7, and you can just check this position of the matrix in this sprite. And the next thing what you can do is, you'll just create the bottom here and just assign it as rect dot bottom. And now we can also say that it is a center x, just get the center X, not the left part here. So just get that center X position of the rect, and that should be called from center X, and just assign. So first we have to use this self.rect, so get the current rect now. So basically new rect here, so that should be created as self.image.getRect function, and after that we'll just assign this bottom and rect to this new rect. From this self.rect.bottom should be the previous bottom, and similarly self.rect.centerX position should be previous centerX position. So we have completed this Mario to middle image. Now next will be set Mario to small image, and it will take the current object and we'll just define it now. So what this set Mario to small image will do is basically during a change from the small to big, it sets the Mario to small. So it will also check for this. Basically we'll just copy and paste all of these here and just paste it here, and in this case this should be normal small frame, but it should be 00 because we have this 00 position for this small image here, and it should be 10 for the small image, and that this was for bigger image, this was for basically middle image, and this one is for the small image. So similar that of previous, let me just call all of these, just copy it and let me just paste it because it will be same as previous. And let me just check it once. So bottom is self-rect bottom, center X, and we created this new rect out of this image, and this bottom and center X should be assigned as that of previous ones. So the next thing what you can do is we'll just define another function, and that will be setting this Mario, that is our Mario, to big image. Let me call this as big image and just pass this self here, and we'll say self dot facing is again right if it is facing just right, and it would be similar to this. Basically you can just copy all of this code, so from here to here, go down here and just paste it. So instead of this frame, that is small frame here, it should be now big frame, and just pass here that is ONO for the big frame, because we are converting the small Mario to now big image. So big image is at ONO, and similarly just make this one bigger too, and this frame wouldn't be facing the right direction, so it would be at 1,0. So this would be at basically this position when the image is left, and if it is not facing even right. So what you can do now is the next would be to make this couple of function, that is timer between these two times. So that would be in the next lecture, so see you in the next.